Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's discussion slash podcast is going to be on meditation and PTSD and the role that mindfulness plays in alleviating someone's trauma. So among the various therapeutic approaches that are available for people with post-traumatic stress, meditation has really emerged as a powerful non-invasive tool to help people cope with and manage their post-traumatic stress symptoms. And it's this reason that I wanted to talk about it today. I used meditation extensively when I was healing my post-traumatic stress. I still do it today. It's just a good thing to do. So let's talk a little bit about understanding post-traumatic stress and its impacts. So post-traumatic stress is technically categorized as a psychiatric disorder. I don't like to call it a disorder because to me that sounds like a stigma. It also sounds like it's permanent, and it's not permanent. You can heal it. I'm living proof of that. And it also just sort of sounds like you're not normal, and you are. And to me, post-traumatic stress is just a very normal reaction to abnormal events in your life. So I usually like to just call it post-traumatic stress, but it's labeled as PTSD, so it is what it is. But it's a psychiatric I'll say condition that arises after you've been exposed to a traumatic event of some sort, or repeated traumatic events, as in my case. Symptoms generally, they group them into four types of categories. Intrusive thoughts, which are recurrent involuntary memories or nightmares or flashbacks of the event itself. Avoidance is the second one, and those are efforts to sort of steer clear of any reminders or triggers of what happened, or steer clear of any emotions that are associated with it, or steer clear of places associated with the aforementioned trauma. Third is negative alterations in cognition and mood, which is basically persistent feelings of, say, guilt, fear, and or detachment from your loved ones. And the fourth category is hyperarousal, which is basically a heightened states of alertness or irritability or difficulty concentrating. And I would also like to add remembering, which I had issues with when I was dealing with post-traumatic stress. And so post-traumatic stress can disrupt your personal relationships, hinder your workplace performance, and it's just going to reduce your overall well-being, and just make you not healthy. Traditional treatments like psychotherapy, which includes cognitive behavioral therapy, or they call it CBT, which is basically talking about your trauma to a licensed mental health care professional until that trauma no longer bothers you. But the psychotherapy and the medications are effective treatments for many. However, they might not work for everyone, or they may work in the beginning and then not work, such as in the case of medication, and then you end up taking more, which isn't necessarily good for you either. So, alternative therapies such as meditation are gaining a lot of attention because of their profound ability to address a person's mind and body connection, which is important because post-traumatic stress, trauma, any of those things, it's like you feel disconnected, and that's really what happens. You have a disconnect between your body and your mind, and you got to kind of bring that back together. So let's talk a little bit about the science of meditation. So meditation in its various forms really is an ancient practice that was designed to cultivate mindfulness, one's focus, and an inner peace. So at its core, it emphasizes being present in the moment without any sort of judgment, which can help a person detach from these distressing thoughts that they're having and these distressing feelings. You can kind of, you focus on, what's going on with you and around you, and maybe perhaps why. I had an issue, I've talked about it many times, where one morning I woke up and 5 minutes later I started having a panic attack in my bedroom, which I thought was a safe spot, and apparently all of a sudden it wasn't. So I sort of was like sitting there panicking, and I sort of meditated in a way, and I was like, okay, well, what's so different in my room right now that caused me to have this panic attack? And I was just focusing on the present moment, how I was feeling and what was going on, and I noticed that in the last 5 minutes, the color in my room had changed to orange. There was like an orange glow because the sun had come up, and I realized, oh, now I know why that bothers me, because it reminds me of the sunsets and sunrises back in the war. It reminds me of the color of the explosions at night. And so it was almost like a little light bulb went off. I was like, okay, I know what's going on now. I know why this is happening. I'm normal. I'm just having a reaction here, and I know what it is. So it shouldn't bother me anymore. And it didn't. The next time it popped up, it was like, okay, because I understood what was happening and why, I could deal with it, and it didn't bother me. I'd be like, okay, I know what's going on here, and this, I'm not gonna let it bother me because I know it's just a reaction and it's not real, and that really did help. So research has revealed that meditation really does impact the brain in some quite remarkable ways. One of the first ways is it reduces the activity in your amygdala in your brain. So it's a part of the brain that's responsible for processing your fear and emotional responses. And when someone has post-traumatic stress, that amygdala often remains overactive in people. And meditation has actually been shown to calm that hyperactivity. And you'll see what I mean if you try it, even just for 5 minutes. The second thing that it impacts is it boosts a person's prefrontal cortex function. And by enhancing the role of the prefrontal cortex, meditation fosters an improved emotion regulation, improved decision making, and improved stress management. And it's a healthy way to manage those things. The third thing that it impacts is neuroplasticity. So basically, regular meditation will encourage a person's brain, or its ability to rewire itself, so to speak, which aids in the formation of new and healthier neural pathways. So it's basically like what I talk about when I talk about retraining your brain, which is the 5th step, I believe, in my 13-step foundation to heal post-traumatic stress in healthy, natural ways. I have a video on that as well if you want to check that out. And basically that's what you're doing. You're retraining your brain, or rewiring your brain to have a different reaction to a set of stimuli. So your reaction, initial one, because of post-traumatic stress, may be panic. And now you start meditating and focusing on understanding what's going on and why. And your new reaction is to have resilience to it, to walk away from it, for it to not bother you anymore, or a reaction of more peace and calm. So there are some benefits of meditation for post-traumatic stress, and there's a range of them, but there's some that are tailored to the needs of those with post-traumatic stress. And the first one is reduce stress and anxiety. So consistent meditation practices, particularly the mindfulness meditations, they lower your cortisol levels, which is your body's primary stress hormone. So that change, that physiological change, actually helps reduce hyperarousal and the fight or flight responses that are common with people with post-traumatic stress. So you produce cortisol in a stressful environment, and the cortisol helps you, sort of jacks you up or pumps you up, so that you can perform your fight or flight response to whatever it is that's bothering you, or the threat at the moment. So the problem is that if you have PTSD, whatever, and you have this chronic stress, you're constantly producing the cortisol, and your body just doesn't automatically get rid of it. There's things you can do to get rid of it, but if you're going through this all the time constantly. Your body's continuously pumping this cortisol, and so your body stores it, and stores it in your belly as fat. So, when at the height of my PTSD, when I was in a wheelchair, I weighed 225 pounds. By the time I got done dealing with all of it, I lost just about all of that weight and kept it off. So, I'm at like 183, 184. It's a very real thing. I've experienced it. The second benefit is enhanced emotional regulation. We kind of talked about that a little bit. So we all know that post-traumatic stress often leaves us feeling pretty much overwhelmed by your emotions. Like you feel like you can't deal with it. You're at its beck and call, more or less, or at its mercy. But meditation can teach someone to observe your feelings without becoming engulfed by them. Just like I just talked about with my story about having a panic attack in my room, and I realized it was the color orange that caused it. So this gradual shift will foster a greater emotional stability and resilience, like we talked about, in an individual. The third thing it helps with is it can improve a person's sleep patterns. And insomnia and nightmares are really prevalent among people with post-traumatic stress. I know with me, like I said, I was lucky if I slept an hour a week, most weeks. Constantly had nightmares. So the meditation, and in this particular case, yoga nidra, or a guided relaxation, and I don't know if I pronounced that right, has actually been found to improve your person's sleep quality by promoting relaxation and reducing the incidence of distressing dreams. So by reducing some of this, you start sleeping better. And once I started doing things like that, I started having less and less nightmares. I started sleeping more and more, and it was a higher quality of sleep. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It has to become a habit, and it takes time. So just understand that. And the fourth thing, or the fourth benefit, is a person can have decreased intrusive symptoms. So meditative techniques such as, say, focused attention, or say a mantra repetition, can reduce the intensity and frequency of these intrusive thoughts or flashbacks that you're having. And it can offer a person a greater sense of control over their mental state. So, I'm having panic attacks or something like that, you totally feel out of control. It's like you can't control what's happening to you. And that makes it even worse, because you feel like there's nothing I can do. This is just going to keep, punishing me the rest of my life. But when I meditated, in the beginning, so I could concentrate and focus, I had a little mantra that I would repeat to myself, just a series of words. Like I would say sometimes a lot, I am calm, peaceful, and relaxed. And I'd keep repeating that self over and over until I kind of got into this, like peaceful state or meditative state. And then I would just stay there for a little while. I even went as far as doing things like I would put a rubber band on my wrist, and I'd start to have a panic attack, and I'd snap that rubber band. And the pain from that would switch my focus from the panic attack to the pain on my wrist. And a lot of times it would help me. It would break that cycle of that panic attack. But after a while it stops working, kind of thing. But in the beginning, that's what I did. But then I switched to the meditation, and that ended up, over the course of time, working a lot better for me. It was more of a permanent thing. And like I said, I still do that today. And then it makes you feel like, hey, I got something in my toolbox that I can use to overcome this. I can control it. It no longer is going to control me. And that's huge when you're trying to heal from post-traumatic stress. And the fifth benefit is what they call holistic healing. So meditation really doesn't just address your mind. It also impacts your body. So things like breath work and body scanning during meditation can help release the tension stored in your muscles, creating a sense of physical relief. So basically what that is you're paying attention. When you're meditating, for the first minute or so, you work on your breathing, calm yourself down, get relaxed, and then you start paying attention to, or focusing on, all the sensations in every single part of your body. And that in itself, when you feel it, it's like you release it. And that's what they're talking about here, and that's where your muscles feel more relaxed and you create a sense of this physical relief. And it really does work. I've done it many times. So, you might be asking yourself, what kinds of meditation are there, or what are the forms of meditation for post-traumatic stress? Well, there's a few. There's several of them, but there's specific ones again that have shown to be effective in helping someone out with their post-traumatic stress symptoms. One of those is mindfulness meditation, and that basically involves focusing on the present moment by observing your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without any judgment. And we had talked about that, but you're just focusing on those three things without any judgment at all. So you're not saying, oh, I'm weird, or something's wrong with me, or this shouldn't be happening. You're just observing and focusing on what's actually happening and why. And that practice is particularly effective in reducing a person's avoidance behaviors and promoting a person's emotional regulation, helping you to more or less control these emotions that you're having. The second form is what they call loving kindness meditation. And that is basically cultivating feelings of compassion and forgiveness for yourself and others, particularly others that may have harmed you. And that can be really powerful for addressing, your feelings of guilt or anger that's often associated with post-traumatic stress and or the event or events that you went through, especially if it has to do with other people. The third is transcendental meditation, and that involves repeating a mantra like I talked about, and that sort of can help a person enter a state of deep relaxation and heightened awareness, making it easier to detach yourself from your traumatic memories. And it does, because it's like a break. It breaks that cycle. It's basically, the best way for me to describe it is like snapping that rubber band on your wrist, and you feel that pain, and all of a sudden it snaps that cycle of your panic attack. It breaks it, right? It's almost like ripping the cord out of the wall and the radio goes off, kind of thing. That worked really well for me. I did that a lot, especially in the beginning. I don't have to do it anymore unless I'm really stressed out about something, but for the most part I don't have to do it anymore. And the fourth thing is yoga and meditation. So by integrating this physical movement of yoga with the mindfulness of meditation, that can help release trauma that's stored in your body, that negative energy, while promoting mental clarity and calmness. I tried yoga, it just wasn't my thing. It might be work for you, but you can also achieve that. Like if you go for a walk, you're releasing that pent-up energy. You can meditate, you're away from all the distractions, your computer, your phone, the TV, all those things, and you're out for a walk by yourself, and you can sort of meditate while you're walking. I used to do it running. I used to love to run. I really can't anymore after I spent 3 years in the wheelchair because of the post-traumatic stress. My back just doesn't work the way it used to, and I'm older now, so running's kind of hard in your joints, and there's you get arthritis and stuff, so it's just not good. So I don't do it. I walk though. I'll go walk and do it. But you can apply that sort of yoga meditation, that physical movement with the mindfulness and meditation. And it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't have to just be yoga. It can be running, walking, whatever your thing is. And so, we've gone over all this, and so I just want to interject here some success stories. So it's not, just me saying I did it, and some actual case studies. And so there's actually been numerous studies and accounts that highlight the transformative impact that meditation has on individuals with post-traumatic stress. Like me, for example, all these videos, all the books, all the things I talk about, it transformed me. And there was other things I did too besides the meditation, but meditation really helped. There was a study published in the JAMA, which is a Journal of Internal Medicine, and it found that the mindfulness meditation significantly reduced post-traumatic stress symptoms in veterans after just 8 weeks of practice. That's only 2 months, folks. You might think, well, that's a long time, but that'll go by in a blink. I tell people will say to me now, like, oh, that's a year away. That seems like forever. And I'm like, it'll be here before you know it. Like every year I put my calendar on my desk on January 1st, the new calendar, and I start filling it out. And I'm like, I know before I know it, it's going to be December and I'm going to be having to run to the store to get a new calendar. And sure enough, it happens just like that in a flash. Also, I saw something where a group of domestic violence survivors reported increased feelings of safety and reduced intrusive memories after incorporating meditation into their daily routine. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Those are just kind of two things that I wanted to highlight that I figured would hit home with everybody. And these findings really underscore the potential that meditation has to complement your other traditional treatments. And the most important thing to me is that it can empower a person on their journey to recovery. And that's what it did for me. It empowered me to start thinking and have a better attitude about, hey, I actually can fight this. I can learn to control this. And I can become mentally and physically healthy again. And I did. So how do we incorporate meditation into our post-traumatic stress treatment? Well, there's some practical tips that I wrote down here. First of all, like I always say about meditation, start slow. And just start with like 5 to 10 minutes a day and then gradually increase the duration as your comfort with the meditation grows. When you get better at it, it'll kind of happen naturally. At least it did for me. I was doing it like 5 minutes, and then I'd have a little alarm that would go off, and I'd be like, oh, I actually want to go longer, so I increased it to 10. And I try to do it as often as I can. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 30 minutes. It depends. And sometimes I go sit out front, watch a sunset for an hour, and that's a form of meditation. So it's easy to do. Another thing you can do is you can seek guidance. And what I mean by that is you can enroll in a meditation class. Or there's all kinds of apps on the internet designed to guide like beginners through meditation practices. I tried some of those. They're great, but it just wasn't my thing. If that's your thing, then by all means do it. If not, I just liked doing it by myself without any other noises or anything like that. And then you can combine the meditation with professional therapy. So they say it works best as part of an integrated treatment plan under the supervision of a mental health professional. And it does. I started doing it and talking about it with my psychiatrist and a counselor that I was seeing. And they sort of helped me with that. I would go and do it. And I would write down my experiences, and the next time I went back to see them both, we would discuss it. And then I could improve my meditation practices, and then they helped me understand what was going on, and it worked really quite well. And the last thing I want to say about incorporating this is just be patient, because it's like anything else. It requires time and consistency to yield results. Okay, so just like an athlete, they practice every day, and it takes months to develop these skills, right? So same thing with meditation or anything else you're doing with the healing of your post-traumatic stress. It takes time. My doctor specifically told me, my psychiatrist, when I first started seeing her, she had said, I asked her, how long is this going to take? Because I was just so looking forward to be done with it, because I had spent the last 20 years of my life, suffering from this. And she just said, look, it took you time to get this way. It's going to take time to undo it all. So just give yourself that time. Yourself is important. And it's important enough for you to give yourself the time to do it. And that's exactly what I did, and it worked out great. So in conclusion, I just want to say that, the road to recovery from post-traumatic stress, it can be a long and challenging road, but, things like meditation really offer a beacon of hope for a lot of people. And by fostering your mindfulness and reducing stress and promoting emotional resilience, meditation really can serve as a vital tool in your healing process, or in, I like to say, in your mental health toolbox. It may not replace the traditional therapies that you still utilize, but it's an ability to address your mind-body connection. And that in itself makes a valuable compliment, because you're getting reattached to you, yourself, your real you. And then, as research continues to explore the effects of things like meditation, it's really becoming more evident that this sort of ancient practice holds timeless relevance in healing the wounds of people's trauma. And for those grappling with the burden of post-traumatic stress, that path to peace may very well begin with a single mindful breath. So just think about that. And that's all I want to say about that today. So please remember to like, subscribe, and share my video with anybody who you think may benefit from it. I hope that it benefits all of you who are listening. And don't forget to go to my website, Robert Siraki Jr., and check out all of the free things that I have there, all the information and all that kind of, all my work is there, my radio interviews, TV interviews, newspaper interviews, all that stuff is there. Also, my books are there. If you are so inclined, you can purchase them right from my shop page. If you'd rather buy them from Amazon or Barnes & Noble Nook, that's fine as well. I have links right there in the store page that will take you right to those particular places so that you can do that. And if you do that, I appreciate it, because it helps me to keep being able to do what I'm doing by getting my message out there and inspiring other people by sharing my story. And on that note, and also please leave some comments down below. I always like to get those, and I do answer those. If you rather would comment discreetly, or you'd like to talk to me more discreetly, you can go to my website, Robert Siraki Jr., and go to my contact page and email me there. Those emails go directly to me, and I will answer those. So on that note, let's all go out and have a great day, and I'm out of here.